Mela and the Elephant, written by Phumiruk and illustrated by Ziyu Chen, published by Sleeping Bear Press. Mela set out to explore the banks of the Ping River near her home. Her little brother followed to the edge of the yard, hoping she'd take him along. "What will you give me if I take you?" He had nothing to offer. "Then you stay home," Mela announced. She turned and skipped along the road and across the grassy field before reaching the steep river bank. She watched the water sparkle and splash below. Mela hurried down to the river's edge. When she reached the dock, she saw a large fish swimming by. What a fine dinner that fish would make, Mela thought. She hopped into her uncle's boat, grabbed his net, and tossed it far into the river to scoop up the silvery fish. But moments later, she was drifting swiftly downstream. The current was too strong to paddle back, and before she knew it, Mela was swept deep into the dense jungle. After a long while, the boat caught against a tangle of tree roots. Mela stepped out onto a large rock. She craned her neck to look back up the river. She was a long way from home. A crocodile appeared along the shore. "Crocodile, will you help me get home? I'll tie a rope to your tail and you can tow my boat back upstream." "What will you give me for my help?" he asked. "You can have this fish I caught." The crocodile agreed, but when Mela tossed him the fish, he snapped it up and swam away. "Wait," she called after the crocodile, but he had disappeared under the water. Mela looked around her. Tall trees blocked out most of the sun's light. Leaves stirred overhead, and the river rushed at her side. She pointed herself upstream and started to walk. A leopard slinked into sight. "Leopard, I am lost. Do you know a way back to the village?" "I do. What will you give me if I show you?" Mela thought a moment. "You can have my sweater. It will keep your cubs warm on cool nights." Mela held her sweater out for the leopard to see, but the leopard snatched it up and leaped away. "How foolish of me," she said and sighed. She walked on and found a narrow path. Soon she was surrounded by towering trees wrapped with ropey vines. 3 monkeys dangled overhead. "Monkeys, can you show me a way through the trees and back to my village?" "What will you give us if we help you?" one chattered. Mela held out her backpack. "You can have this pack to carry fruit as you travel through the jungle." But the biggest monkey grabbed it from her, and they all swung away. Mela slumped to the ground and began to cry. Night was falling, and soon darkness would settle over the jungle. She shivered. How would she get home now? Soon she heard the rustling and snapping of branches. An elephant lumbered his way toward her. "Child, are you lost?" the elephant asked. "I will give you a ride to the village." Mela cried even harder. "But I have nothing left to offer you." "It would make my heart happy to help you," the elephant said. I don't need anything in return." He lowered his trunk for Mela to climb onto his great warm back, and he carried her all the way to the village. Mela slid from the elephant's back, grateful to be home. She pressed her palms together in thanks and felt the elephant's strong trunk embrace her. "Thank you," she said. The next morning, Mela's brother asked to see the riverbank where her adventure had begun. "I'll take you," she said, and together they set off to explore. Mela remembered what the elephant had taught her. Kindness needs no reward, for it brings happiness and warmth to the heart. From then on, she offered many kindnesses to others, asking nothing in return. The end. And And at the back of this book is the author's note about Thailand. That's my information for you about Thailand. This story is set in Thailand, a fascinating country in Southeast Asia. Thailand is famous for its great natural beauty, from beaches with clear blue water in the south to tall green mountains and jungles in the north. The climate is generally hot, with a rainy season from May to October. About 67 million people live in this country, and its nickname is the Land of Smiles. Did you know that Thailand has a royal family and a grand palace in the capital city of Bangkok? The Ping River in Mela's story is found in northern Thailand. It flows into the Chao Phraya River, a major river that runs through Bangkok. Though Mela's story is set in a rural village, Thailand is not all rural. If you visited Bangkok, you'd probably be very surprised at how modern its downtown is. There are plenty of tall buildings and traffic, just like you would see in any large city. One particular Thai custom depicted in Mela's story is how we show gratitude. Thai people say thank you by holding their hands together as in prayer and bowing slightly. If you are very, very grateful, or if the person being thanked is much older than you will take a much deeper bow. Practice thanking a friend. How would you thank a grandparent? Thai people also put their hands together and bow this way when saying hello or goodbye. In the story, Mela learns that kindness needs no reward. There is a Thai saying, place gold on Buddha's back. Most Thai people practice the religion of Buddhism, and one way they pay respects at temple is to apply a slip of gold leaf onto the Buddha statue. The statues become impressively gilded by loyal Buddhists over time. The saying means that one should perform this act of worship behind the statue, drawing no attention to the good deed. Similarly, a gesture of kindness needs no attention drawn to it. As Mela learned, being kind to someone makes you feel happy. There are many ways to be kind every day. You can draw a picture for a friend, help with chores around the house, or tell someone that you care about them. I hope you'll remember to be kind to the people you meet every day.
Hi everyone, my name is Shuli De La Fuente Lau and I am here with Oakland Asian Cultural Center's YouTube channel to have a craft and conversation session with author and illustrator Phumiruk. I am the creator behind the Instagram account Asian Lit for Kids. It's a platform that showcases books with Asian characters. So I'm so excited to be here and thank you so much, Dao, for reading your story with us. I would like to introduce her now.
Hello, Shuli. Thank you for being here with me.
Of course. Hi, Dao. That was such a wonderful story. Why don't you start us off with telling us a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your writing journey?
Okay, my name is Dao Phumiruk, like you said. I'm from Thailand originally. I was born there, and then I moved to America when I was very young, maybe not even 3 years old. But I decided to become a pediatrician before becoming an author and illustrator. And the transition happened when my kids were at home. I was at home with me and they were little, and we'd play and do arts and crafts on the floor a lot, and then we'd start drawing. And then I was inspired to start writing and illustrating children's books. That's how I got started, and I will not look back. I love it so much.
That is awesome. I didn't know about your other career background. What was your first book or as an author or an illustrator?
My first traditionally published book was Maya Lin, Artist, Architect of Light and Lines. I have it back there. And it was written by Jean Walker Harvey, and I'm the illustrator. And what's fun about this one is that they actually translated it to Chinese. So I have a Chinese version of it as well. That was in 2017 when it came out. And I've had several more since then.
Cool. And you're mostly an illustrator for most picture books, right?
Most of them I illustrate, yes.
Yeah. Would you mind just sharing with our audience just a few other books that you have written before we
Oh,
dive into
okay.
Mela
In
and
the background, you can see da 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 da. I won't bring them over because I stacked them there and they might just like fall over.
Owl?
But HUGSBY is my latest, and that's my author and illustrator debut. So I did both parts for that book. And I have lots of HUGSBY paraphernalia in the background because I like to sew as well.
Mhm.
And he's a pet monster, and the little girl is kind of insecure and learns to love him for just the way he is. So that one just came out recently. One girl I illustrated for Andrea Beatty. She is the author of all the Rosie Revere questionnaire series books, and she's really awesome. STEM books for kids, those are the ones to get. Equal Shot just came out recently that I illustrated with Helene Becker. It's right next to Counting on Catherine, which is the book I did with Helene Becker before. And that one won a Cook Award, so that one's probably been circulated that one probably has been circulated the widest of all of my books. And then in the back, I have Mouse's Christmas Gift. Well, am I going on and on too long? I have a lot of projects.
I love hearing about all of them. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey in writing Mela and the Elephant? You are both the author and
Yes.
illustrator, is that correct?
This one I'm just the
Yeah.
author for, and the
Oh,
illustrator is Ziyu Chen, and she lives in Singapore. So this book, I started out as an entry for a contest. It
mhm.
was for the SCBWI, Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, on the Verge Emerging Voices Award. And it was an award created to promote diversity in children's books. I wrote it and I illustrated it and I submitted it and I won the contest, and that was in 2013. And since then, I started submitting the project.
Mhm.
Eventually, I got a yes from Sleeping Bear Press, and they said, we were wondering if we could use a different artist. And I said, whatever it takes to get me published, you can have the manuscript. And I'm so glad that they worked with ZU on the illustrations because she did an amazing job. She is such a talented illustrator. And to be honest, my art wasn't ready back then. I am self-taught, so I had to develop my style along the way. Now I probably would say, yeah, I want to illustrate it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I also love that all the work you put into putting this book out into the world. I think there are so few books about Thailand with Thai characters, and all the more even fewer. I feel like you're one of the only, if not the fewest, picture book authors, Thai authors who've actually written a book about Thai characters. And I think that's really special. So just thank you for your work in putting that out there. My next question might be hard to answer because I'm sure there's so many different possible answers you could think of. But like, what do you love about Thai culture? What do you want people to know about Thailand and what it's like to be Thai?
I think people should know that its nickname is the Land of Smiles. So Thai people are known to be very friendly, and we smile a lot. And I guess I'm a good example of that because I smile all the time. But it's known very much for its beautiful beaches. We have so much water around our country. So people usually visit to go on holiday at the beaches that are just gorgeous. But there are also jungles. And like I have in the author's note of my book, there are some big cities too, especially Bangkok, the capital city.
Well, kids who are watching, do you know of any really significant and important Thai Americans?
Ooh, there are a few around. I think the most famous one right now is Tammy Duckworth. She's
Mm.
a senator in Illinois, and she is amazing. And guess what? I didn't even tell you yet, but that's a book that's coming out next year, probably, that I get to illustrate, and I'm working on those illustrations right now. And then it was written by Christina Soontornvat, who just won 2 Newbery Honor Awards this year. That's a really big award in children's literature. So she is half Thai and lives in Texas. So she got in touch with me and said, oh, have you written a story about Tammy Duckworth yet? Because she really needs the book. And I said, no, I haven't. And she said, do you want to do it together? And I had to say, yes, of course. So we're working on that right now. Tammy Duckworth was in the military and her helicopter was shot down. So she lost both of her legs. And so now she has prosthetics, which are the substitute legs that someone made and built, and she wears them. But she is a fighter. She keeps fighting for rights for veterans, and she does so many wonderful things in her role as a senator. I think she says that, you know, she almost lost her life, but she didn't. So she's not going to waste what she has left. She's going to keep working for people and for our country.
And she's also a very loving mom.
Yes, yes.
Yes, she's the first senator who brought her baby into the chamber when they were taking a vote after her baby was just born. And
isn't that amazing?
Such a big deal, yeah.
That's in our book. There's a spread of her being on the Congress floor with her newborn. I think she was only about 10 days old.
I'm so stoked. I also know you have a craft for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about that craft and its significance in Thai culture?
Okay. This is a Thai jasmine flower garland that we're going to make together. And I have an image of it for you so you can see what the real thing looks like. In real life, they will have craftspeople sew the jasmine flowers together. So it's like a big necklace, but it smells so good and the flowers are fresh. And you can hang them in your car to make it fragrant, or you can use them as offerings at temple for blessings. So that's also a choice. And usually it's jasmine for the white part, which is the predominant color usually, but also marigolds and roses and orchids as well. So today we're going to make them out of tissue paper. So you probably saw the craft instructions on the website, but you need some paper. I use cardstock, but you could probably use construction paper or any paper and cut it into a shape like this. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to cover it up with all the tissue paper flowers, okay? Oh, I should show you what it looks like at the end. Let's start backwards. This is what it'll look like later. This is tissue paper that's supposed to be like the jasmine flowers. And then the red tissue is carnations or roses. You can imagine whatever you want. And then I put some green paper for leaves at the bottom. If you want to be fancy about it and you have patience, you can do both sides so it looks more like the real thing. And they do online, you can search different garlands. So sometimes they'll put a stripe of red across the middle. You can make up your own patterns if you want to. Okay, so your template, your base template here, and then you just have to take tissue paper and cut it into little squares or rectangles. Those shapes don't matter that much because you know what? We're going to crumple them into tiny little balls that are to represent the flowers. So when you have all your supplies together, you want to have some glue as well, just basic glue, and you're going to crumple up the little tissue papers. I feel like this is kind of relaxing and fun, so grown-ups can do it with you if they want to. So you just make a bunch of little paper tissue balls, okay? Are you doing this along with me, Shirley?
Yes, I got together. It was a little hard to find cardstock, but I found some, and I got some arrows as well. And kids, if you're making this, once you cut out the shape, the circle and the hole might be a little hard. What I did was I bent it, and then I used my scissors to cut it, and then you might need to have an adult help you with that circle part. But this is representing the reef, and they hang it in cars, you said? Or
yeah, sometimes people will sell them along the side of the road. They'll just come up to your car when you're in Thailand and see if you want to buy one. And then you can also buy them for special occasions and, for example, bring it to the temple for good luck.
Cool. Yeah, and then you also need some green, like to cut out the leaves, right?
Yeah, so you can make leaves. I was doing, let's see, sometimes if you do just one side, you probably only need two leaves for each stem here. Okay. But if you want to do double side, you can put another leaf on the other side. It's really up to you how you want to do it. It's a flexible craft, and you can make it as colorful as you want. but usually it's just the white. So here I am balling up a bunch of little tissue paper balls.
So if you're watching, you want to make it with us, why don't you go ahead and get the materials? You can pause the video. Go ahead and pause the video and get the materials. You need. It might take a minute or so to cut up all the tissue paper, but once you're all ready, and you can see the supplies that we need on the screen once we're all ready.
Okay, so I'll show you how I'm doing it. First, I have a bunch of these little tissue paper crumples, and you can make them as big or small as you want. If you make them bigger, then you'll fill up all the paper faster, okay? I don't have the camera down here on my table. What I'm gonna do is start putting glue. After I've crumpled a bunch, and I used probably a whole piece of tissue paper of white to make most of the jasmine flowers. And then I'm gonna just smear glue all over here.
So kind of just all over the circle part, right?
Yeah. When you have all your crumpled papers together and ready to go, otherwise your glue will dry while you're getting ready to glue them on. Mine is doing the thing where I can't get the glue out. Do you ever have that problem, Shuli? I sometimes have to, all the time, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll stick something in there, thing, but
if you have kids, if you have white Elmer's glue or just any type of white glue, that might work better than a glue stick. But if that's all you have, that's fine. You might just need a little bit extra glue stick. So it's pretty fun. So don't crunch them too small, just a little bit loose. And then just put them on.
And then put them on, and the pattern you want to do is all white until you get to the tip at the bottom. So do white all the way down to about here.
Okay,
and then
add like an inch. Okay.
Yeah, maybe an inch or so. Yeah, 3/4 of an inch. And then you can put the leaves at the very bottom. Maybe I'm going to start with the leaves. I'll show you. I'm going to put a leaf here. I can hold that up.
Oh, so that amount of space that you want to leave.
Oh yeah, did you cut this out? I forgot to ask you to cut out the leaves. There we go.
And go as you're watching. If you're like, I don't have those materials yet, just pause the video and you can start again when you do. So once you got the leaves, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, and you can put 2 leaves on each side. This one, I'm just going to put 1 leaf on each side. I have glue all over this, and as I fold it up, the glue is kind of dripping down. It's a little messy. You don't need that much glue, though. So don't do like I did. I put too much glue. And then I'm just going to start sticking my little popcorn balls of tissue paper onto the glue. And then it might take a little while to glue and dry and stick on there. This is so fun, Julie. I haven't crafted with another person in so long, it seems. Yeah, and you know what else jasmine flowers are used sometimes for? For Thai New Year's, which it's right about now. April 13th is Thai New Year's. And what we'll do for respecting our elders, we'll go to our parents and grandparents and ask for good luck blessings, good luck wishes. We will fill a water bowl with jasmine flowers in there, and then the grandparents will hold their hands out like this, and there'll be a bowl underneath, and then we'll pour water, the jasmine fragrant water, over their hands, and they'll say Happy New Year, because that's the Thai New Year in April. And then they will say, good luck this year. We wish you health and happiness. So typical New Year blessings.
There are actually a few number of countries in Southeast Asia and South Asia that celebrate New Year's in April. And I know Thailand is one of them. And so is Cambodia, Laos. I know some parts of Nepal and even some parts of India and Sri Lanka have some type of celebration at this time.
But the biggest part of the Thai New Year celebration on April 13th, and actually for a few days around that date, is a big giant water fest all over town. You'll go out in the streets and anybody can be soaked with water when you're outside. It's to wash away the sins of the old year. And it also has been mentioned that it could be like for good luck to bring rain to the country, because the rainy season starts a little later in the year. I think it's worst in August, but or at best I should say, because it's good to have water. But April is hot and it's dry and it's often 100 degrees. So this water party is really fun. And so kids love it because they wake up and they do their blessings with their parents first, and then they go outside and get ready to ambush anybody who's walking around on the street. You can even splash water on a police officer and they won't get mad at you. It's all okay. Can you imagine? How are you doing? I'm almost done with one side. I'm only going to do one side for today. Look at you. Yours is so fluffy. That's beautiful.
The other side too. If you are going to do the other side, you might want to be a little gentle because it's not totally
right.
But, yeah, it's so pretty.
Yeah, and you know what you can do? Usually they'll hang them just right by the middle hole here. But if you wanted to, you can poke a hole at the top and put a string, and then you can hang it somewhere like a Christmas ornament or other holiday ornament. But you don't have to. The other last thing that I would do if you wanted to is find a perfume that you like, and you can spray some body spray or something that smells good, and then you can hang it somewhere in your house and it'll smell really good.
Cool. I have some pillow spray that you can spray on the bed that smells like lavender. Maybe
that sounds perfect.
And I know we've talked a bit about what Songkran looks like in Thailand. What are some of the Songkran traditions or customs in the US, if they're any different?
In America, I haven't seen water celebrations, but you can pour the water on your parents' hands in your own home. And then usually, just like in Thailand, we'll go to the Thai temple nearest to us, and then we will do some prayer there. And maybe there are Buddha statues that you can pour water onto. That would happen, but not a big street water fight. No.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on Songkran and helping us learn about a new holiday. Kids, how's your wreaths coming? Is it looking done? Ooh, I love your red flowers at the bottom.
This is actually the one that I made earlier. This one I didn't do as tight.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So with the 2 leaves with the 4 leaves. Yours looks great. I actually like how you puff the tissue paper out towards the audience a little bit, so they stand up more. It's fluffier. I kind of just smushed mine, but you can do it either way. Yours look more like flowers.
Okay. Thank you again for sharing that wonderful, easy craft with us. I wish my tissue paper actually smelled like jasmine flowers. But, yeah, it's a beautiful craft, and I'm gonna do this with my kids in a little bit. And Dao, I know you have a few books coming out in the next few years. We are so excited about it because we need to see so much more representation for different Asian cultures and Asian characters. And I know you have a book coming out about Tammy Duckworth. Can you tell us again what the title of that is?
That one is called Tammy Duckworth, A Life of Service, and we hope to see it out next year sometime. And I also have a couple more that are Asian focused that I forgot to tell you about. Last Flight is with Kristen Jiang is the author. She's Vietnamese, and the story is about the last commercial flight that took Vietnamese people out of Vietnam to America. And that's right before the capital fell. So there was a war going on. So it's an amazing story that Kristen wrote, and I am so honored that I was chosen to illustrate it. And then lastly, I haven't sold this project yet, but it's a book that I wrote about Songkran, the Thai New Year that we talked about today. So hopefully that one will become a book, but it'll probably be 2 or 3 years in the making.
Oh, that's so exciting. We don't have any picture books about Songkran, so I'm so looking forward to that one. Thank you again, and Happy New Year for all our viewers and watchers who celebrate. There are some free downloadable activities like coloring pages. You can find directions for the wreath activity available on oacc.cc, Oakland Asian Cultural Center's webpage. And if you would like to purchase Dao Phumiruk's book, Mela and the Elephant, which you read earlier, please check out OACC's website and YouTube channel. There will be a link right there. Thank you again and Happy New Year, everyone.
ชื่อลี่ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.